Everyone, I'm Eric. This is my wife, Julie. We are the Blended Life, and tonight we almost have a special episode for you. Almost. I thought tonight was going to be our 1-year Blended Life podcast episode, but technically it's in 2 days from now, so it doesn't count. So it would be like celebrating.
It'd be premature.
It'd be way premature.
Nobody likes anything that happens prematurely.
No, like iPads charging. Have I ever mentioned that we have technical difficulties all the time?
Yeah, music's really loud.
So it's going away. Bye, music. What's tonight's episode about?
Everything.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well,
you have the list. You can start reading.
Gosh, you gave me another novel? This is your novel this year. Adult Stepchildren. We're just going for it, you guys. Here we go.
Yeah?
We've got a giveaway for you. Well, we're going to start a giveaway tonight, you guys, for something that's going to actually be pretty neat for people.
Yeah, we're going to do a giveaway, and specifically for blended families or not blended families. If you have a teenager in your life and you're having a hard time communicating, connecting, getting them to listen to you, we're going to give away a book that will really give you a lot of tips and a lot of help understanding the teen and how to get the teen to understand you.
What's it called?
Connecting.
It's pretty crafty.
Yeah, this is actually a friend of yours who wrote this. So
yes.
Why don't you explain a little bit about
him? They go
him?
to our church, but I've actually coached his son for years of hockey, and they're family friends, and our kids are friends, and it's pretty neat. So Bernardo actually wrote this book, Connecting, and it is about connecting with your teenage children, and talks about each chapter. There
are 4 chapters, and if I get them mixed up, I apologize. But it's basically respect, conflict, forgiveness, and patience.
Yes.
So those 4 topics are in this book, and he's a teacher, and so he deals with teens and kids, that as his daily job, and so he has a lot of practical.
Well, he's not just a guy out there trying to make a buck. He's actually a really good father who gets out there and
he's a dad and a teacher, and he's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, and they explore, and they're at the beach a lot, and they go mountain bike riding, and he was out there while we were coaching and playing hockey, and he didn't grow up playing hockey, but he'd always lace him up and come out there and give it his best and be there and be involved, and he's just a good father.
Yeah, he's a present dad, and he involved is the right word, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's, I've read it. It's really a lot of good tips. I think it would help a lot of parents. I think it's going to be hard pill to swallow because I think that parents of teens think it's a dictatorship, and parents don't realize that teens are human and their own person. And so it's going to be a little bit of dying to yourself and seeing your teen and having to maybe rethink how you approach things.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we're going to discuss how you can get your hands on this book. We're going to give away these 2 here,
which are actually signed by him. I'm not going to tell you what they say, but they are actually signed. Yes.
So that's a pretty neat thing. And next week, find out.
Yeah. And before we go any further, I'm going to apologize to Instagram, but you guys understand the struggle with kids and telling them not to do something, and then they do something like use your iPad and the battery dies, but then they take the cords. You guys have this problem with like chargers in your house?
We're apologizing to Instagram?
Yeah,
or
because
YouTube?
because Instagram's about to leave. I need my phone that I'm streaming to them with. So if you guys are watching us on Instagram, I apologize, but go to our YouTube channel and we're going to be live there and you get to watch the whole thing. So I'm kicking Instagram. I'm sorry, you guys.
Okay, Instagram.
We want you on YouTube anyways. And if you go on, subscribe. So,
all right.
Why don't you read our first topic while I
go to YouTube?
I'm sorry, Instagram.
Look up Blended Life on YouTube.
We love you guys.
If not,
you'll see we're live right
this
now.
podcast will post later tonight. You can listen to it instead of viewing it. But I didn't know this was happening. So thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you next week. The first topic we're going to discuss. So I actually
Sorry, guys.
Bye, Insta. I went to our support group on Facebook, and I asked for suggestions. I asked if anybody had topics that they would like or situations that they would like just, to be brought up. And I always say that if you're going through it, chances are somebody else is too. And, if you don't have a blended family support group, like connected with other blended families in your community, it can feel pretty alone because you can feel very lonely. A lot of people can't really relate. They can kind of listen and then they give you advice, but their advice is irrelevant because they're not really in your situation. So if you're not part of the Blended Life support group on Facebook, I invite you to join. But these came from there. So
Thank you guys. That's awesome because you only requested today and then you got
which just tells me like blended family life is hard. It's a challenge. It's real, it's raw. And I think a lot of people give up because they just feel isolated and alone. And the worst thing about life with especially depression, when somebody else can't understand you, you just want to give up. There's no real hope in that. So I'm really grateful for this group. It makes me feel like I'm not alone in my struggles with blended family stuff. By osmosis, Eric feels like he's not alone either, you guys, because I just share everything with him.
I thought that's why we had the dogs, so I wouldn't be alone.
Okay, so we're going to get through. There's quite a few topics, and I apologize if you wrote in and we don't get to yours. We're trying to keep it to an hour,
right?
But we will save it for next week. So if we don't get to something, hold on. We'll get to it next week, but we'll try to get through as much as we can, okay? So topic or situation 1, adult children / stepchildren still living in the home or relying heavily on parent. I don't currently have this issue, but I see a few freeloaders in our future. My daughter is 18 today and is on track to move out and start her life.
Nice.
I have a fear that my stepsons will want to move out. Okay, I'm sorry. This is a fear.
Did you read this first?
I don't know. No, I have a fear that my stepsons will want to move out. They will go straight to mom's, but then keep asking dad to buy them everything, putting a strain on us being able to enjoy our empty nesting. We are doing our best to teach them responsibility about this, but with bio mom's couch crashing influence. Ugh. Okay.
One of your favorite sayings is he who says no holds all the power. And I feel like this could be applied to something like this. Like if your kids move out but want you to keep paying for things, like, no, right?
Well, that's it. Like, you don't have to say yes. I don't, just because they ask doesn't mean they're entitled to get what they're asking for at any age.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, exactly. It's not a dictatorship. It's up to the parents to basically lay down the law of the land. And
but what I would say about this is right now, this stepmom and dad or these parental units within the household need to have this discussion, hash it out, set the boundaries, set the rules, set the expectation between themselves so that they can present a united front. Because what ends up happening is then, and I've seen this a lot, but kids will ask for something and then the bio parent, of course, this is my heart, this is my child, I'll give them anything. And you got the step parent who isn't in that same place and is more realistic, hey, this isn't really appropriate anymore. And then the bio parent puts it on the step parent and makes the step parent the bad guy.
I thought they were. Isn't that the role of the step parent?
Sometimes. The high conflict bio mom and the evil step parent.
I prefer to call them a BM.
Yeah, BMs matter. I'm going to start a movement. # bio moms matter.
I shot, I shot a church episode today for Sunday, and it's actually about movements, and it's neat. That just reminded me. So
all right.
Movements are kind of a thing right now.
Well, That's what we're doing. That's our world.
We're a blended life.
Movement?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are, though,
A
because
blended life movement.
movements aren't something Pastor Dave describes as movements aren't something that are kept secrets. Movements are something that you tell people about, that you
Crusade.
share.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you guys are part of a blended family, which I'm assuming most of you are or know people, like, let's get on this movement. Let's get with this. Let's share this with other people. If you know other people, bring them in. Literally the only reason Julie and I are doing this, literally the only reason, is to help other people and ourselves. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, we're getting rich off this. Like,
we have no
made.
income off this. We
Not
would
a
like
bit.
to have income off this.
Well, yeah, one day. But you know what? Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. And speaking of church and blended families, before I go back to
Before I interrupted
wrapping
you,
it, yeah,
that's what I
before
do.
but when you do it, it's okay. When I
Yes.
do it,
Well, duh.
it's the Julie show.
I know it was supposed to be the Eric show tonight. You're like, I'm really not feeling great. I don't want to do this. You're gonna have to do
but
this.
then I look fabulous.
Yeah, but no one
Just
can
kidding,
see
I
if they're all listening. Actually, if you're,
I have
if
a
you-
face for radio. Let's be real.
you know what, it still looks great. It looks great.
Okay, so, but one of the driving forces for me with this, speaking of movements, is that, and I'm sure I've said this before, but like what really angers me is churches have support groups for absolutely everything,
Everything.
but they refuse to acknowledge, support, embrace blended families, right?
Do they
Because of divorce.
refuse to, or is it
They
something
don't
that's
do
just
th-
looked over?
I think that blended families are the bastards of church, right?
Oh.
It's like the redheaded stepchild. It's the accident child that we don't talk about that's part of the family. It is. Like, churches don't even acknowledge blended families, you know?
Hi, Jessica.
And that really angers me because it's a really hard lifestyle to live. And I think that, you know, Christianity is all about redemption. And so I think blended families are just dismissed and passed over in churches.
Yeah.
And it's such a counterintuitive thing when you're all about redemption. And that's how I felt when we got married. I felt like our marriage was a redemption. And I think that is the message that, you know, churches try to preach.
Well,
but you have to, like, then live that out and embrace
But you know what?
everyone.
Blended families are reality, and it's a hard place to be, and it's a bummer that there are so many of them, because really, like, when you start your life, you're not like, yeah, one day I'm going to be married and then divorced and then married again.
Right,
And
but
divorced and
you
married
don't
again.
need to continue shaming people who are already
That's what
having
I'm saying.
a hard
so
time.
now it's reality, and it's like, all right, people are figuring life out. You know, I mean, for any walk of life, I mean, drug addicts have recovery, alcoholics have recovery, and not that this is necessarily a recovery, but it's a next stage, it's a next period, and you've learned from your mistakes. You know, it's part of life.
Yeah, I mean, sin is sin, and if you feel like divorce is sin and that's your bandwagon, well, then please don't go 66 mile an hour on the highway because you're sinning. Don't say
Dang.
fuck
Hey.
because you're sinning. Don't.
Jessica
know.
says, shut your mouth when you're talking about her beautiful friend like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Thank you, Jess. Okay, but back to this question about, so my little tangent about being on the same page, especially with teenagers and adult stepchildren, is that I think that step parents get painted as the bad guy, and then it's good cop, bad cop. And, you know, you kind of lose your power as a unit, as a team, as a married couple when you do that. So my advice is to get on the same page, have the discussions, figure out everybody's different, what they're going to allow, what they're going to pay out to kids, you know, are they allowed to move in if they have a hard time? Well, let's set a boundary. Like, what's the expectation if we allow kids back in the home?
Right.
And every family
Are they going to school? Do they have jobs? Are they pitching in?
Are they paying rent?
Are they just down in the basement playing video games the whole time?
Yeah,
you
you
know,
need to
what's the
see-
expectations?
Right, in your own home. As far as the bio parent, you know, if she wants to be a couch crusader or whatever it was, like couch crusader.
The couch commander.
Yeah, I mean, that's her business, whatever. Just because it's allowed in one house doesn't mean that your kid's entitled to anything from you in the other house. I mean, better you teach them how to be a man or how to be a woman or how to be an adult than, you know, get sucked into, well, bio mom's doing it, so I should probably pass him $50.
All the bio moms are doing it.
Get a backbone.
Dang.
Right?
For $50?
There's a lot I would do for $50.
There's a lot she'll do for $20.
No, that's my friend.
Oh, yeah.
I have standards.
Sorry.
Just
$50
kidding.
make you holla.
Yeah. So you need to teach them responsibility, and bio mom's influence is what it is. Don't waste any more time worrying about that. You just do the best you can for your kids, what you think is right for your household, and what you want to instill in your kids, instill in your kids. I don't care who cares what bio mom does? I mean, I know you care because
but you can't control that, so you need to let go of that.
You're not going to change it. You just need to do better.
What is
that?
better.
Is that now all over the news? Do better.
Do better.
Everyone's apologizing. I promise to do better.
Yeah.
Do better.
Do better.
Than the bio mom.
Is that the new movement? Do better?
Dude, I can't even
Better?
use that anymore. I used to say that all the time.
What if we get another T-shirt? We're gonna have to go back and we're gonna get all these.
We have
but
no T-shirts.
What if the T-shirt says "Dude Better"?
Oh,
That'd be good, right?
isn't there something called Dude Perfect? What's that?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel that like they do like trick shots and like really insane things. That's like no way. Like it's the Impossibles that they make it happen. It's pretty neat. You should watch it. They have like 100 million subscribers. Speaking
We're almost there.
If you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, subscribe. We would like to get to 10 million. Let's give it like a 6-month period. 6 months, we'd like to be at 10 million. So share the subscribe and tell everyone else to subscribe. Let's do this.
Dear Lord. All right, going on to number 2. I have 2 stepdaughters that are completely daddy's girls, which is sweet, but they rely on him for everything: cooking, cleaning up after, picking out their clothes, trimming their nails, etc.
Wiping the butts?
All while criticizing everything. This critical nature carries over into what I cook. Mom does it a better way. To the way I water my plants. Yes, you read that right. Did I mention they are 15 and 11?
Oh, geez.
I could go on and on. Trouble is, I want to like them, but I just don't because
Because mom likes them better.
Well, this is, and I'm going to combine 2 because I'm going to read 2 together because they go hand in hand.
Thanks for telling us that.
So you understand. Okay, so the trouble is I want to like them, but I just don't because I'm so bitter how they have no discipline and treat my 2 boys like trash. The most recent convo ended with my give a damn being busted because I was told that I should be able to get over it since I'm the adult and should set an example. They are just kids and don't know better. Trying to be judicial, and I really want our family to blend, but it's been 4 years and seems to be getting worse. Help. By the way, your podcast has got me through some serious depressing and lonely moments, so thank you and keep doing your thing because you're a godsend.
Oh, thank you. Well,
That
we wouldn't be
means
here
everything.
without you guys. Actually, we would. We'd just be without you guys, so we appreciate you too.
Yeah, so let me read the other one because it goes along with it.
Okay.
So somebody wrote me on Instagram actually and said, really struggling with barely liking my stepchild this week. Have you ever read any books or are there any other resources? I'm praying for a change of heart, but I'm just struggling every morning when I face the day. So this second topic is, what do you do when you don't like your stepkids?
Right.
And we'll get more specifically with, the first question about how, okay. I'm just wondering, as the stepmom in scenario 1 of question 2.
Hang on, I gotta write this down.
Where is your spouse?
Yeah, is your spouse enabling
like,
this?
Why
this
is the dad allowing his kids to talk to you this way?
Parental problem for sure. This is definitely, you guys need to get on the same page and put your foot down and be like, listen, girls, this is not the way that you treat adults, but this isn't the way that you treat anybody. I don't want you going over to your friend's house and treating them this way just because you have one friend that does something differently or better and another friend that does something differently or better doesn't make them better. They're all created equal, and just because they do something differently doesn't make them better people. Like, you treat everyone with respect.
Yeah, I think you need to acknowledge that being very critical is hurtful. And also, I think you need to find out why. Like, why are they behaving this way? What is the underlying issue? Because if you don't get to the heart of why, they don't sound like they like you very much. So if they don't like you because they just are angry that their parents are divorced and they wish their parents back together and they're just never going to accept you because that's that.
They could just be resentful.
You know, you have to know where it's coming from, and you have to have a spouse that protects you and backs you up. Because if your spouse, their dad, is not going to
He's just going to allow
this,
just going to allow this.
It will never change.
Right.
You can scream and holler, cry, silent treatment it. I mean, you can go through the list of reactions and how to handle this. It's not going to change if they feel like their dad is allowing it. So that's definitely not okay behavior. I would not be okay with that behavior from any of our children in our home.
Right. But it's something that needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed and needs to be a conversation that you first have with your spouse.
Yes, away from the kids.
Yep.
Away from the kids.
Explain to him. Don't come at him. Don't come at him as poor me, I'm a victim. You know, like, I can't stand your girls. Come at.
And don't come at him attacking.
Right.
Like, your girls are horrible. Your girls are, because that's going to put him immediately on the defensive, because that's, you know, you don't attack someone's kids.
And be ready for him to be defensive a little bit, and don't get offended. You know, you're going to need to break down that wall and have him see your point. So if you come, you know, just with anger and you're mad about it, he's going to get defensive right away, and it's going to be so hard to get on that same playing level. And, yeah, so just have a conversation, and it might take a little bit of time. It might take a couple of conversations, but start having that conversation now.
Yeah, you know, maybe you go to him and say, I really just need to talk to you about something that's very hurtful to me. You know, frame it as it's your issue. You know, frame it as it's hurtful to you, as you want him to tell you what to do. Like, let your husband be the problem solver. I think that guys really are built to problem solve, to fix things. They want peace and order. They don't like chaos and drama. So if you approach your husband like, I'm hurt, this is what's hurting me, can you please help me find a solution so that I don't want to be hurt in our home, because I want to love our family. I want to get along with everyone, and I need you to help me get there. Like, what can we do? And let him kind of lead it. He's going to have to anyway. They're his kids, you know, and I think that's a good way to approach it. But obviously this is very disrespectful and very hurtful. And it's just, you know, it's kids being, you know, the stepchildren who just don't want to be in this situation for whatever their reasons are. You know, there's movies made about it. What was it?
I'm not thinking about that anymore. I was noticing that you're wearing a bright green shirt, and I was looking for my keying tab, and I was going to key out green, like a green screen. So it looks like you have no shirt on, but I can't find the tab from this far away.
Oh my gosh, that's all he cares about. All right, part 2 of this. What do you do? And I think this is very normal, because you marry your spouse, and I know you marry the kids too, but the kids hopefully are going to grow up, move out, get their own families, their own lives one day, right? Hopefully. That's the hope.
So you know what?
You know, what do you do if you don't like your stepkids?
Before you go any further, like, let's just stop there. Is that the dream for our kids, is to get them out of the house, get them married, get them with good jobs and good people?
I mean, they don't have to be married. They don't have to have kids, but they do need to be independent.
But that's our goal for them, right? So what do you do for any goal? Like, you have to start somewhere. So like, that just what you just said right now, like, just maybe stop and think. Like, if you have goals in life, you start working on them. You start working on them now. You don't wait till your kids are 18 years old and go, hey, what are you going to do for a living now? Are you going to get married one day? Are you going to have kids? You know what I mean? Start having those conversations with them right now. It's not, you know, now is sooner than tomorrow.
Yeah, instill your expectation of independence, you know? Like, let's, like, and be excited about it. Like, oh my gosh, where do you think you want to live?
But also, goals take work. It's not just like, I hope my kids are good kids one day when you grow up. Like, you don't hope for your kids to be good. You're like, let's create good kids now. Let's create good human beings with, goal oriented and, manners. And that doesn't just happen one day. It's got to be something that's worked on, and it's our job as parents.
And modeled. If you're not doing these things as parents.
Are you telling me you want to be a model?
There's no way.
Oh.
I mean, they make money, so I'll do whatever.
Instagram allows pretty much anything these days.
Do they?
Yeah.
But I think that you can't, talking about it with kids is great, but you really have to live out the characteristics that you want in your kids.
Yes.
Because if they see you telling them to do something that you're not doing yourself, it will not stick. Or it may stick, but it might be later, like when they're 50 and have had a hard lesson, or 10.
And also vice versa. You could be telling and modeling something to your kids that they just don't ever do. And you're like, dude, when is this kid going to get it? But one day it's going to stick, because that's going to be what they know. That's going to be what's been modeled for them and what they see. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. It's like, man, my kid will not clean up after themselves. They won't do their dishes. They won't push in their chair.
Mm-hmm.
They won't talk with manners. They chew with their mouth full, but you're doing all that at home and you're constantly showing them that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys can relate, because then they go to their friend's house and you go to pick them up, or they get dropped off, and their parents are like, man, your kid is a perfect angel. They do, and it's like, wait, what? What kid are you talking about? And
Keep them.
I can relate to that. That was me as a kid. I'm like, I was home. I was free. I did it how I wanted, But when I go to my friends' houses, I was on my best behavior. And it taught me, because that's what my parents would teach me, and that's what they'd model for me. But so when I went out, I'm like, all right, I'm on my own now. I need to prove myself.
Right.
And kids start that by going to friends' houses and being socially active.
Yeah. And I think that, gender roles are such an issue in our society. And so I think that it's important that boys learn how to do their laundry, how to be able to make a meal, and there's nothing wrong with traditional roles in a home. If you could, dude, I'd be a stay-at-home mom in a heartbeat. But, however, I do think that, when kids grow up, they're not moving necessarily out of the home in with a partner. They do need to learn the basic skills. Like, I would love for our daughters to learn how to be able to change a flat tire if they needed right. to, mow the lawn. Like, how are they going to, they doesn't have to be just, I think kids need to have life skills that are unisex.
Unisex.
Well, because there's all these gender roles in the house, but
right.
truly, like, I don't allow our boys not to wash their dishes and the girls have to wash all the boys.
Right.
Like, no, we're all, no one's maid. Nobody's anyone's maid in our home. We are a team. We're all busy. We all work really hard, and we all help each other out. And that's our blended family is more of a team. We don't really have like assigned,
roles.
I mean, I do the laundry and you do wash the car, but whatever. I mean, but you our
helped
kids.
Me wash the car the other day.
I did. I posted you foaming the cars on Instagram.
I foamed it all right.
And I rubbed it down.
Did you guys see the foaming of the cars?
That's a great Father's Day gift.
Foam cannons?
Foam cannons. If you're looking for a Father's Day gift,
Detail Garage.
Isn't it Chemical Brothers?
Chemical Brothers is who makes all the stuff. Yeah, so you can go on any of them, but yeah, Chemical Brothers is what I prefer, and they have an amazing website, and they're running specials right now. This is not a paid ad. We don't get paid. Spur of the moment, like, yeah, they have cool stuff. And I use their products for everything. Yeah,
but that's an out of the box, like, super fun. If you have anybody would love to foam cannon a car.
It's so fun.
And it's touchless washing, right? Yeah,
the torque cannon is the one to get. So
it screws on to all you need is a pressure washer. Yep. So that could be a Father's Day gift. If you don't have a pressure washer, maybe you get that, and then for a birthday or something, you get the foam gun. But cannon. It's a fun foam cannon.
Hashtag foam cannon.
Not gun. Cannon.
Cannon.
And they come in. Do they come in different colors?
I come in different. I mean, wait, what? No. The soap. The soap is what changes the color. So we're like using Mr. Pink. So it's like bright pink.
Yeah,
the foam comes
it's
out
fun.
Nice and white. But.
So that's just a fun Father's Day gift.
Yeah. If you guys need Father's Day ideas, it's coming up quickly.
Yeah,
Send us
let
a
me know what
message.
you want for Father's Day. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, give me price ranges. I'll help you pick something fun.
Yeah. Eric will be your
Let us
Father's
know.
Day.
Message us. Type below if you're watching us
He's
on
a
YouTube.
car, computer, gadget,
Boat,
photography,
boats and hose.
boats and hose kind of guy. So he can help you out.
Boats
All
my
right.
hoe. Boats my hoe.
All right. Moving on.
I love you.
I love you. Potential problems that can come when a new baby is introduced into a blended family. My ex-husband's wife is pregnant, and I have already noticed major changes. I'm so fearful that my ex-husband's wife pushed so hard for a baby for a control factor. You can
That's a
speak to
bummer.
this.
I can speak to. I don't think it was a control factor though.
No, but I don't have any experience. You have
my
more.
ex literally just popped one out last week. So yeah, and 2 since we've been divorced. So she's So, but I don't see it as a control. Like it's not a control.
Okay,
thing
well
at all.
here's
It actually, if anything, it's less control. She's like, I can't deal with our son. He's crazy. Like, come pick him up. But she did, however, say this last week. She was just like, you know what? I'm going to pretend like he only has one home when he's here with me, and I'm going to keep him here.
Good
because
for her.
literally the day he got home, she's like, I can't take him. He's freaking me out. Like, he's going crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a 13-year-old boy who's got energy and very active, and I didn't even have to prompt it. She then messaged me back, probably before I even responded to her. She's like, I'm just going to pretend like he only has one home, and I'm just going to deal with him. And I'm like, awesome. Good job.
Did you
know?
clap? That is amazing.
Like, that's awesome. Like,
That is amazing. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
I didn't. I forgot about it because it wasn't even really a conversation. It was like 2 texts, and then I was like, oh. Like,
Thank God for our podcast. I
good
learn
job.
everything here.
I know, right?
I know nothing.
You take naps, so I
This
can't
was
talk to you when
today?
you're taking naps. No, it was.
I took
like a
one
week
nap
ago.
today.
I know. It's like the first time you've ever taken a nap.
I'm
You guys
so
take naps?
exhausted. I fucking hate life.
Wow, I'm gonna press this button. Here it goes.
Anyway, that's awesome. But I think that how did it affect? Here's my deal. I have 2 questions about her having your ex having a baby. Okay. How do you feel? Like, was it, and be honest, like, I'm very accepting of like feelings. Did it, with either pregnancy with your ex-wife having a baby with somebody else? I know everyone's moved on and remarried. Did that, as like a man or like as an ex, that I haven't had an ex that had a baby with somebody else.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
that's not true. But my last ex hasn't had a baby with somebody else. Did that stir up anything in you?
No, not a bit. The only thing that was weird for me on the first one is they named the baby the same name that we were going to name our baby before we had a miscarriage. And it didn't stir up anything, but I was like, oh, it's kind of different, right? Like, I'm like, I don't know. So that was kind of weird. As far as stirring stuff up, no. It had been so long, or long enough. I was truly over it at that point, so it didn't bother me. Second time.
God, I just remember.
Second time, I actually forgot. I forgot up until like a few weeks ago, and then we're at my daughter's graduation, and this year it was like COVID graduation, and we did this drive-through, where the kids drive through the school and everyone cheers them on, and then we pull up and they get out and walk a little stage, and then you pick them back up. So we pull off to drop her off, and her mom like change seats, and her mom gets out of the car, and I'm like, whoa, she's pregnant. Like, I probably hadn't seen her mom in months, like we'll text every now and then, dealing with the kids, but I hadn't like physically laid eyes on her and totally forgot that she was even pregnant, and it was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then, like, at that point, it was kind of a joke. I told her later, I'm like, man, I thought you were going to get out of the car and have a baby right there, like she was so pregnant. But as far as feelings go, like, no, it's really like, over it. I can't speak for everyone, though. I feel like a lot of people would have emotions. A lot of people get pregnant real soon after divorce or breakups. And I could definitely.
Or marriages end because they're pregnant with somebody else's
On the sly,
child.
yeah. And
That's happening a lot.
And that would be devastating. That would be a hard thing, because not only is it like cheating or it's really like that's a nail in the coffin for people. It's like,
that is what I
wow.
felt. Well, anyway, okay. So how has having kids affected your son? By like how, you know what I mean?
In the other household?
Yeah.
At first, with the other household and his first baby sister that was born, it was a little distancing for him at first. And that was kind of, he was always the baby, It was kind of like, whoa, there's other attention now. Years later, his sister's probably 5, I think. They are siblings. They fight, they argue, they play together, they have a blast, they pick on each other. I think he would be bummed to do life without her now. I was talking to him earlier, and he's like, I'm going to take my little sister on a bike ride down the hill and bring her back up. And like, that's one of the things that they like to do. And I told him, I'm like, make sure you do that, because these are the type of things that she's going to remember growing up that her big brother did for her, So I think it's neat for kids to have other siblings, because it bonds them and it makes memories, It's people for them to grow up with and have memories that
and
they should
family,
be able to,
just people in the world that are your family.
They should be able to count on one day, and getting them to bond. So if your kids have other children at the other house, encourage them to have relationships with them, because they might not be your kids and you might have nothing to do with them, but you want your kids to have good, healthy relationships, and you want them to have people that they can count on through life.
Yeah. And these babies that are being born didn't ask to be born. They didn't, but you know what I mean? It's not like
It's a funny way of putting it.
They didn't insert themselves, or did they?
Or did they? They're the winners.
But these babies are innocent. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And all of the casualties of all the feelings and all the emotions and all the hate and all the conflict and all the drama and all the mess and all the dirty stuff, babies being born in blended families on either side of the equation, either in your child's other home or in your home, they're innocent. And like it or not, these babies shouldn't be punished or no one should shame someone for having a child. And like Eric said, you want kids to embrace their sibling. Like, that is their sibling, whether you like it or not. Your hatred for the situation isn't going to change it. It's only going to make everyone else miserable, including your child. And don't shame or guilt your child. And as far as other people's control issues, that's theirs to carry, like a burden for them to carry. They will only control you as much as you allow. So if you're fearful that somebody's having a baby out of control, so what? Like, what? Okay, well, if you allow it, if your spouse allows it to control your home, then that's on you.
Right.
Let her have her kid, and, let the siblings love each other, and you move on in your home the way you feel is right,
Yeah. So we're cutting in line here because we have a live listener asking a question. And if you're asking questions live, you get moved to the front of the line. So Jules asks, my stepson told me that his sister talks horribly about me to her mom and grandparents. What do I do with that information? It was out of left field, and it makes me wonder why he told me.
I have to read.
Okay.
You can start talking.
Wait, why do you have to read? I just read it to you.
Because I'm more visual.
I know. This woman likes to read over watching. Like, if she had to read how to do something versus watching a YouTube video how to do something, she's going to read how to do it. And that does not compute with me. That's the craziest thing.
Okay.
Dead air. Here we go, you guys.
Well, you talk. Why don't you answer? I'll read while you answer.
I think because I want your input on this, you have really good insight on this type of stuff. But I think it's to get a reaction out of you. I think that is telling you to get some type of reaction because it's a form of communication. It's I don't. How do you explain that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that here's what I think about shit talking. Why kids do it. I think kids talk shit about the other family to the family they're currently with for acceptance.
Yeah, they want pats on the back.
You know, kids in any environment want to be accepted, want to be loved, want to feel like they're a part of things.
It shows that they're a team player. I got your back, Dad.
You know, and if that's if there's shit talking going on in the other home and the kids are hearing about it and they have something to contribute, they just feel part of it and they feel included and embraced, and kids really want that. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that they think bad of you.
Or that's even truly their feelings.
Right. They're just trying to be accepted in the other home. And that's what I've learned, seen, and done. I'm a stepchild and lived it myself as a kid my whole life.
Still does it about me.
You know, and I'm a stepmom and I have stepkids and my kids have, you know, another family. And so I have seen it run the gamut in that regard. But I wouldn't I would tell your stepson, oh, thanks for sharing. How did that make you feel? Or how does that make you feel? Like, I would turn it into about him. I wouldn't give it an emotional reaction. I wouldn't.
Because that's what they're digging for.
Yeah, I would just, and because if he doesn't get a reaction or if he sees it doesn't bug you, then regardless if it bugs you or not, he'll just stop bringing it to your attention. It's kind of like friends who bring drama to your attention that you're like, I don't want to know about it. It's just easier for me not to know. I know shit's being said about me. Just please stop. Like, I've blocked all accounts. I can't see it. Don't come to me. It just ruins my day.
What happens if they don't stop, though? What happens if they keep bringing it up and they keep bringing it to you? I mean, I would
just tell him, you know what? I'm really not interested.
Yeah.
I would just say or I would ask him, why do you want to tell me this? Like,
yeah, but that almost keeps the conversation going. If you're like, yeah, you know what, like, it doesn't bother me, and you shut down the conversation
because maybe he's trying to say something else.
Okay,
kids go about kids don't know how to address things in an adult way because they're not adults. Their brains haven't developed. They're not mature enough yet. So if he keeps doing this, like if a kid keeps begging for attention, well, why? I think parents just get so upset with behavior that they're so close-minded that the behavior, they are not figuring out why or addressing the why. And then it's just a battle about a behavior, but you're not fixing the problem.
Right.
So if he keeps coming to you with this, I would sit him down and very non-emotionally be like, I notice that you keep bringing this to my attention. I don't really care to hear about it because I can't control what people say. But is there something going on with you that you want to tell me?
Yeah, you want
Why
to talk
do
about
you
something.
keep bringing this to my attention? Is there something you need me to know? You know, maybe he's afraid that she's going to find out and leave the family. You know, maybe it comes, who knows where this is coming from, but that's my advice.
I knew you'd want to answer this one. She has great advice on stuff like that. I handed you this so you could read the next person just because you're visual.
Why don't you show me your dick?
Wow.
Visual.
Why, what does that have to do with anything?
When I think of visual, I think of dirty, you being naked. I don't know. Sorry. All right. Moving on. Other kids choosing not to visit because of different house rules. Why? Okay. Why do kids choose not to? Like, who's allowing kids to choose?
Yeah. And
until my kids are 18 and if we have a custody order in place and there's no abuse at either home and there's no real good reason why my kids don't want to go to see their dad, like a good reason, I'm upholding our custody agreement.
Of course. And you want your kids to have relationships with both families. And if there's different rules there, you know what? Kids are learning different ways.
Well, no shit. Every home has different rules.
What is your deal tonight?
Because I just feel like, why are kids running the show? Why are the tails wagging the dog? Like, why is there a choice?
Have you ever seen a tail wag a dog? What would that look like?
It's fucking stupid. That's what I'm saying.
My God. Here, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this on. You want me to just leave this on all night?
Maybe.
Julie's on a rampage.
I just don't know why there's a choice.
I don't know why dogs get wagged by their own tails.
Unless there's like abuse or neglect or, whatever, kids should be adhering to the custody agreement and having relationships with both parents.
Really, though.
You can't control what the other house does. Like,
no, but
buck
also
up and kids go.
Kids also can't control who their parents are and how their parents ended up. Like, just because you don't like the other parent, don't take your kids away from them because you have more money or you have more power or you don't like the other parent because they did this to you. Let the kids learn who their other parent is.
Right.
Let them figure that out. But it's not fair to the kids to be like, I don't like their parent, I'm going to take them away from them. It's just not fair.
Well, and if they're well, go ahead.
No, because then they just grow up and then they're just screwed up because they didn't have those relationships. They weren't able to make that choice. Like, all the choices in their life have been made for them up to that point, involving their parents, and now they just have mommy or daddy issues and they're just screwed up, and it's not fair.
The easy thing to do is to placate kids and to say, oh, you don't want to go to mom's house? Okay, we'll keep you here. But that's not in their best interest, and if everything's good.
I had this conversation with my son the other day. He's like, Dad, I don't want to go over there. I'm like, why? He couldn't give me a good reason why. He just liked being here. I'm like, listen, you're going to have a relationship with your mom. Like, it's important that you go over there. Your mom cares a lot about you. You have siblings over there that care a lot about you. You have a stepdad that cares a lot about you. You have reasons to go over there and make these connections. It's not all about just what you want. There's other people involved in this. So having those conversations with your kids and just getting real, like, give me a good reason, They can't give you a good reason usually.
No, and it's bullshit that absence makes the heart grow fonder. I'm like, absence keeps people apart.
Right.
Like, if your kid is missing out on months, it's, here's a situation I'll relate it to. I was a stepkid. My parents were divorced. My dad lives.
What?
I know, newsflash. But my dad lives 6 hours away from my mom. So every holiday, every break, and all summers, I went to my dad's house. The point of me telling you this is it was really hard being a teenager and my dad living 6 hours away. And in teenager, when you're a teen, your friendships are everything, right?
Especially high school. And the summer months are like the times you bond and make memories and, you do all the fun things together. Well, I was 6 hours away, so I would miss all of that with any friends I had. I would come back to school in the fall, and I was kind of a ghost in my high school because I didn't have, I wasn't present to build relationships with my friends and make the memories. So while they had all grown together and bonded and done life together during the summer. I wish I had Marshmallow alone to play for you right now.
But it's a thing, and I'd come back and I would feel out of place. I would feel like I couldn't connect because I couldn't relate to what they were talking about or wanting to do and had done and all the things. And that's same with kids who don't spend time in the other household. Like, the longer they're away, the harder it is for them to re-enter that home and re-enter that family.
Make those connections again. And
yeah, they just feel out of place. Like, this family has done this amount of life without this child, so rules might be, so they might have had new, I don't know, rules or purchases or whatever.
Siblings.
And it's they come in and they feel like a stranger. They haven't done life with this family. And that's why it's really important to have consistency with your kids going back and forth until they're 18. And when your kids are 18, although if they're living under your roof and you're paying their bills and they're 18, they kind of got to follow your rules, in my opinion, but when they're 18 and you can't force the issue, then that's them doing life
also,
on their own.
like, kind of going back to this 18-year-old thing, if your kid's 18 and they're still living under your roof, I feel like their bills shouldn't be that much. They shouldn't be racking up big bills. Otherwise, go out and figure it out. You know what I mean?
I'm talking like
I'm just saying.
Car, insurance, gas, cell phone, clothes,
But we
food.
live in California. What kind of car? What kind of food? You know what I mean? Are you going out and you're having sushi 3 times a day and
yes, please.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna go be a teenager.
Like, you've got money to buy all this stuff at this point, but you're still living here. Like, get your priorities straight.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I don't think enough parents teach this day and age. get your bills and your priorities straight and learn
But
finances younger.
I do want to acknowledge how hurtful it must be to have kids not want to be with you. I can't imagine a more hurtful situation as a parent than to have your child be like, I would rather be with the other parent. I do not want to be with you. That is when you hope you have divorced a good parent who forces it. Because it's really, really, really got to be the most heartbreaking, hurtful thing. And one of my biggest fears as a parent is to have either of my kids be like, hey, I like it better at dad's. I don't want to live here anymore. Now, I'm going to force that because I feel like it's important for them to know me and be in my life, and I'm a good mom, you know, but hopefully I have well, there's a court order, but hopefully I have an ex-husband and their dad who would be like, value some relationship with their mom.
Right.
So, but I do want to acknowledge that's got to be very hurtful. And when you're hurt, you don't think right. You want to sleep all day. I'm going back to bed after this.
You took a nap today.
I did.
I've never seen you take a nap. No, maybe not never. It's been a very, very small amount of time.
That's where I'm at in life, looking down the barrel. Okay, bio dad inherited money. Bio mom requested the check to be sent to my boyfriend, which I'm assuming is bio dad,
Okay.
to handle because she was distraught. It's an UTMA custodial account with Fidelity, and now she wants her name on it and to have it moved into a regular savings. She's unemployed and very high conflict. Should my boyfriend put her on? He already has monthly statements sent to her. Her own family doesn't speak to her and recommended not to do it, but won't get involved. What would you do?
Kind of confused on it, but you know what? Like what it
Maybe
sounds
it's
like
daughter. I think maybe it's bio daughter inherited money.
Oh, you know what? Unless it's court ordered,
I think.
no. You know, unless the money's being
I
spent.
think it's a minor who inherited money.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, if you
Sorry.
don't need to put the other mom on or the other parent on, don't. Keep it as simple as possible and do the right thing. Like, you know, if it's not your money, if it's for someone because they inherited it from someone else, you know, like it could have been her parents that passed away. Who knows how it went.
The money should be for the person it was intended for
Right.
and should be protected at all costs to be kept to use for the person it was intended for.
Yeah, so putting on the other mom, if it doesn't need to be done, like, don't do it. But it's just not. Yeah, because then that brings up more issues. And if she gets statements anyways, like that should be good. If you guys are being honest with it also.
Because she's not her. Why would she want it if she's not going to use it?
What's the point of it?
So
unless it's court ordered, unless you absolutely have to, I would suggest not. But that's
you protect the person it's intended for and follow the wishes of the person who left the money.
Yeah,
to a T.
But
and
definitely follow court orders. If it's like both you parents are supposed to be on it, then absolutely do it because otherwise it's going to end up coming back on you.
Yeah, and don't engage in a fight about it. Like unless there's court order, like Eric was saying, I wouldn't even have a conversation. Just say no. I'm protecting it for my daughter.
Yeah, and you
that's
know what?
it.
And if it goes past there, like I'm not a lawyer, like consult a lawyer and be like, what do I need to do? What's the right thing to do? You can get a consultation, and they can probably tell you, and it won't cost you too much. You don't need to actually take it to court. But if it gets to that point, like definitely, it's a civil matter. So don't be calling the police and being like, hey, we're fighting about money. Like. They're going to tell you, like, sorry, we can't help you.
Yeah, I think you just have to do what's in the protection of what the intentions were for that money. And it should be spelled out. And just beyond that, don't engage in fights that are unnecessary and just going to cause conflict. Right. Okay, I am a single mom, and my daughter has begun to call my new partner daddy. Her biological father has never been in the picture, nor has he tried. Am I wrong for allowing her to call him daddy? My family seems to have a problem. Should I have a conversation with her telling her it's not okay? Advice is helpful. So
only if she's younger than 18. If she's older 18, she can't call him daddy. No, that's a normal thing. That's exactly what happened with my daughter and me. I'm not, as you guys know, I'm not her biological father, but when she was really young, probably 5, 6 years old, she started calling me dad, and it's the role I played, and it's the role I continue to play, years and years later. But that's who I am to her, and that's all right. Like, she's comfortable with him. Let that happen. As long as you're not forcing that, like, that's a good natural bond and relationship. And hopefully he doesn't take that role lightly. Hopefully he upholds the role as being dad and treats her just like his normal daughter, and that's honestly, that's what this is about. Like, that's the type of relationships that we're trying to forge here, like, that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, nothing's wrong with that.
My only pause is that this isn't your husband, and maybe you don't believe in marriage, maybe. So if you aren't in a committed relationship, it kind of makes me feel a little ew, only because if this relationship doesn't work out and she does have this attachment to this man she calls dad, it's going to fuck with her.
I didn't catch that it was the boyfriend, and I apologize. But yes,
it says partner. I don't know what that means. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're in a committed relationship and this is a forever deal, then I agree with Eric.
Just keep going for it.
If this is a boyfriend who your daughter falls in love with, because the other thing you want to really understand is a lot of times people get married because they fall in love with the kids and not the spouse as much, and I've seen that a lot. And usually in the end, that doesn't work out. Marriages don't really last if it's all about the kids. It has to be about marriage and your spouse.
Grow up and move away one day.
And it's not fulfilling.
If it even gets to that, yeah.
Like, there's things that your children or your stepchildren aren't going to fulfill in you that a spouse does. And that's emotionally, not just physically, but, but no, for real. So be aware of that. Like, make sure you're committed to this man. Make sure this man is committed to you and that he loves you and isn't just, falling in love with your daughter, because it's a mind fuck for kids to lose a parent, whether it is biological or not. When that connection's made, with a kid, to have it broken, regardless of bloodline or not, is really hard on them and unnecessary because you're allowing it. So that's really here my only, I don't know where you're at. You just said partner. So like I said, a lot of people live together forever and aren't married. And if that's you and you're committed, then okay. But if this is just a boyfriend, I could see why I would have a problem if this was my child or my grandchild. And
you have grandchildren?
No, if I were a parent and my daughter was a single mom and my granddaughter was going to call my daughter's boyfriend dad, I'd be like, let's wait until we're sure this is at least a committed forever type of deal.
Yeah, just
for the kids' sake.
Just be careful. What's right.
10-year-old not wanting to visit her mom because she lives in an apartment and can't go anywhere fun or see kids. Or see friends. I think we addressed this earlier.
Yeah, that's a bummer, but you know what? Let them see both ways of living. They need that relationship. They also need to work harder like this family does, or live like this family does. Life decisions,
you make
career
sure,
paths.
You make sure this child's visiting their mom.
Yeah, for sure.
Regardless.
Yeah, and again, don't let the 10-year-old dictate their visiting schedule.
I think we're going to get through all these. I have one more.
Wow, here we go, you guys.
Have you ever heard of mini wife syndrome?
I think I'm going to get through my activity rings today. It just messaged me.
I've already done it.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of mini wife syndrome?
No, but I would love to watch that show.
I'm sure. Okay. Moving on. This is a real question.
Oh.
This is a real question.
No, I have no idea. Oh, I thought it was they're pitching us a new TV idea. I'm like, yeah, I'm down.
I'm sure you are. Only if they serve tuna fish sandwiches. All right. Mini wife syndrome is more common than most people realize in relationships where single fathers have inadvertently allowed their daughters to step into the roles of companion, confidant, and or helpmate with their fathers. I'm living with my partner and his 2 kids. His daughter is obsessed with him. She is 13 and has him listed as daddy in her phone. She crawls all over him and always gets in between us when we show affection. I also have 2 kids. My 11-year-old daughter brought it up to me and asked if I thought it was strange how much she obsessed over her father. My partner doesn't see it as a problem. Help. This is called enmeshment, and I did not make this up. This is a therapy term, and go look it up because it's a real thing that happens, and it's not healthy for anyone. But I think that parents like it because they feel good. I mean, it must feel good to have someone love you that much and be obsessed with you that much.
Of course.
And like, I think, obviously your partner, your husband,
But
it's like there's a payoff, right? Why it's allowed is because he feels like important, like a hero. It feeds his ego, it feeds his pride. And the problem is if he doesn't see it, which this is like 99% of dads aren't going to see it or care to change it, it just kind of is what's going to be. But it's very uncomfortable. It's gross. It's icky. It's unattractive.
But also this could be a phase, This could be, we've learned about phases of kids throughout years in life of living, and they go through different types of phases. So that's also something to be aware of. My son was always very, very clingy to me, and as he gets older, he's not as clingy. He still is, but it will go through these phases. My daughter was, hung all over me and liked to cuddle and watch TV when she was younger, and now we haven't done that in years. You know what I mean?
13 is a teenager, and that's
Right.
a little bit. I mean, at some point, yeah, it's enough is enough. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, and that's a really hard thing to address with a parent.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know
there's
how to
also
say
a very fine line there too, because they still are your kids. And they still do need affection, and they, but to what degree? So that's one of those things that needs to be discussed. And, maybe if it gets too bad, or if it is too bad, maybe it's time to talk to a therapist and be like, hey, listen, what's normal? Because therapists know,
psychologically with kids, where should this kid be?
Yeah, stages in life, just things that have happened or haven't happened. There's a lot that could.
And it's sad because, and this is something that parents don't realize, but what you allow is what will continue.
Right.
And parents don't do any favors. This is a different kind of daddy issue.
I know. Is this like a reverse daddy issue?
It's a it's a different kind. There's all kinds of daddy issues.
I'm very aware.
Thank you very much.
I still love you.
Daddy. There's a lot of different daddy issues. This is definitely one of them. And this kind of behavior, if it's allowed to continue, will affect her in relationships as she's older. And I think if parents understood that, I think
saw
if parents
the effects that it could, what the outcome could possibly be. Possibly, and that's why I even recommended maybe going and seeing a therapist. And it might not even be with the child. It might just be you and him, or him
or you. Maybe go ask a therapist how to broach the subject, because if he doesn't see a problem with it, it's like an alcoholic, right? If they don't see that they have a drinking problem, it's not going to ever change. If he doesn't see that there's a problem with this is not probably going to change. I mean, he might be aware after it's too late, but the longer it's continued, the more damaging it is. And also, it's super awkward when the other kids in the house are like, this is weird, and you're like, yeah, it is. This is weird. And then it's like a divide in the house because your kids aren't behaving that way. His kid is. And, it just divides a blended family that's already a little bit divided because it's not a natural family even more.
Right.
And so the ripple effects of such behavior is greater even than just this little girl and her issue is going to be, but it affects the whole house. And I don't think that parents also look at it like that,
because it's innocent. Parents aren't trying to make it out,
and
to
it
be
feels
something
good
more.
for them.
Well, but then looking at it from the outside in, you're kind of like, yeah, this is a little much,
Yeah, and it's inappropriate at a certain age, 5, 7, 10 even, all right. But if you're if my 13-year-old daughter is out and like slapping my boobs, I'm going to say something.
So she only has, what, 2 more years of this?
3.
3 more years of this?
But you know what I mean? Like,
and no more titty bopping.
You taught her.
I did not.
You did. Anyway, she thinks it's just funny.
It's hilarious.
She's like half boy, I think.
Half?
Anyway. But, I just think that, like, at some point, and it never feels good. Like, if you're out in your community and this behavior is going on, I promise you people are talking about it behind your back. And that's also doesn't feel good. But, I mean, I don't know how... you can try to bring it up to your significant other and just... everything we said lay
but again,
out,
like we talked about earlier, be ready for defensiveness. Be ready,
for sure.
So it's going to have to be something that's going to be talked about.
Or it gets turned back around on you. Well, if your kids would treat you like that, you would like it too. Or if it's so childish. Well, if your kids, then it gets turned into like your kids, and it's a shit show of a conversation. These are conversations that tend to go south really fast because I don't know. This is a really, really, really hard one. And it happens with all kids and all parents. It isn't just dads and daughters. It can be dads and sons. It could be moms and sons and moms and daughters. Like this type of relationship
moms
happens.
And stepsons. You guys ever seen that video?
Or goats.
Anyways.
So good luck. I would get professional help because this is outside of.
Yeah. So.
I'm going to go take a nap after that. Yeah.
So you guys, next week, we're going to announce how to win one of these books. If you're interested, start subscribing, start following, start messaging us, asking us. We'll tell you details. If you're curious on how to win this, message us. We'll tell you. You can get a head start. Thank you guys all for listening, tuning in, and being part of our blended family. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace out.